Hi, my friends. Welcome into this week's episode of Forte Catholic. I'm so glad that you are here. I've got a special treat for you here today. One of the OG co-hosts, Mr. Shaun McAfee, is back. Shaun has been a lot of things in my life and a lot of things in this show. We actually just looked back. It was like episode 76 that he first came on as a guest. We became friends. Ultimately, it led to him being one of the 4 original rotating co-hosts. Then he quit. Then he came back. And then he became a guest. And then he quit again. And now he's a co-host again. It's been a wild ride with Mr. Shaun McAfee. Today, he and I talk about a new book that he wrote, which I grill him about. The dude's wrote 10 books. Frankly, I think it's 8 too many. But this one, I kind of grill him on a little bit. It's about Sacramentals. And I thought Sacramentals was like the most niche Catholic topic ever. And he actually proved me wrong, which I don't often admit on this show. But he does a really good job about that. We also talk about something else that I can't remember. Oh, yes. We talked about being Catholic in the workplace. See, my workplace is my house, and I work for a Catholic thing, so it's hard for me to talk about being Catholic in the workplace. But Shaun actually has a big boy job and works for the government and talks about how he shares his Catholicism and lives his Catholicism within the workplace. It's a topic that people have been asking for, and we finally found somebody that could do it from the outside. So we hope that you enjoy today's episode with Mr. Shaun McAfee. Hello there, and welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll, and that is Shaun Keith McAfee. Hello, Shaun.
Okay, not my middle name, but hello.
Yeah. So there have been multiple things that you have said and done that prove that you haven't listened to an episode of this show since you were a co-host.
My wife listens to every single episode, and she shows me the good ones, and then I'll catch all the clips.
So she shows you the good ones. So she's shown you 2 since you were a
No,
co-host?
definitely not one where my middle name is Keith.
It's very funny. So we're going to do slight introductions for you. So just for new listeners have no idea who you are. The last time you were on was almost exactly a year ago. And we did it on episode 299.
Yeah.
Because episode 300 was going to be a big party, and I didn't want you to be there. But
Aww.
you were a big part of the history of the show. You were one of the OGs. You were one of the original co-hosts for the show when we switched to the co-host model, 17 years ago. And you lived in Italy, and we got tired of each other, so you blamed it on the time difference between here and Italy. And then here we are 4 years later, and we're like, okay, we're not tired of each other anymore. Let's try this again. What do you think?
Does that mean I'm invited to be a co-host again?
No, absolutely not. You are today. You are in the rotation of guest co-hosts.
Okay.
And
Once
I'm
a year.
not sure.
There are 52 guest co-hosts.
So what's so funny is whenever you left, so you were a co-host for almost 2 years. So just like we do now, we've always had 4 co-hosts at a time, rotate through. So I'm doing a show a week, you're doing a show a month, and that's how it worked for quite some time. And then you were just constantly yelling at me every time we played this game called Rocket League. It's car soccer, right?
Right.
And you're so much better than me. And I feel like I was frustrated with you about you constantly yelling at me with Rocket League. And then you got constantly frustrated with me that I wouldn't bend over backwards to your stupid Italy hours.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those snowball things where I think we were both frustrated. But ironically enough, last week we played Rocket League, and how did it go for you?
We won like 95% of our games. The boys are back in town.
The boys are back. And we had a good time. Like you said things like, "You've gotten better. You're good," which I haven't ever heard from you.
Yeah, everybody, he's lying.
I am not lying. I am a
Oh,
truth teller. I am a truth teller. But you were so nice to me, except for there was one time you said we won 95% of our games. Which means we lost like twice.
Well, we played the same guy about 15 times in a row.
Oh, that was so funny. It was the funniest thing in the world. That poor guy. But he was into it, man. We played the same guy, and his teammates kept leaving, so we won, 95% of our games against him. We lost one game. I'm just going to give the listeners a guess on who was blamed for that loss.
Me?
No, it was not you. It was not you. But we did. We had a good time, and I'm like, here we are. We've had, I feel like we've come a long way, Shaun. So maybe, just maybe, we can have a good interaction for an hour. What do you think?
Well, we went and shot guns for a few days. I was going to say for an hour. I was like, no, it was definitely more than an hour. It was several times over a few days. I'd say we're close brothers.
We did. You came and on the first of our Forte Catholic Men's Renew retreats. You were on the first one. You were a very good shot because you are. You want to tell people why you're good at shooting things? Is it because you're in the mob? You were in Italy for a long time.
Ex-military.
So you were very good. And just like with Rocket League, like the irony is you taught me how to play the game. So like I wouldn't be any good at the game if it wasn't for you. But you're a mean teacher. But it works.
Disciplinarian.
Yeah, exactly. And it was pretty similar with the shooting guns. Like I had shot rifles and pistols before we went on that retreat. One of the big things that we do on the men's retreats that we have in Texas, because there's a big old ranch, is we would shoot skeet. So they throw the little discs out and you try to shoot them with a shotgun. I had never shot a shotgun in my life before. And here you are just casually like, somebody else would be shooting and you're just having a conversation. You'd be like, hold on, pa, pa, pa. And you hit all three of them. Like you were really good. So you did teach me a lot there. And you were a lot nicer teacher there. I think it was because there were other people around that could hear.
Well, we're loud people, you and me. And sometimes we just get loud and yell at people for the antics.
Yeah.
That's my defense.
But it is this weird thing of like, I thought we were kind of done with this, and then I brought you back on for like, the anniversary, the 300th anniversary.
We better not be done.
But then not done with like being friends, but I thought we were done with doing this show together. I really did.
No, there's a big future for us, Taylor.
Well, I want to tell you the timing of what happened. And okay. I am poking at you a little bit, but I want to tell you that I said yes, despite something that happened that's completely has nothing to do with you, but it was interesting timing with you. There are two things happen. One, there was a person that keeps asking to come on the show that I don't like, and they annoy me constantly. So I avoided the question for a long time. You know what I mean? That's my version of being nice. No, it's like that's he doesn't want to come on a small podcast, But he keeps
go on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Joe. You got your own show, Joe. I'm the bald guy here. I'm the bald guy in charge here. You don't need to come over here. Just keeps asking to come on the show. Where it's just like it's annoying. So finally, I had to I live on the internet. People know that.
Yeah.
So if you send me 8 DMs and it says seen, I saw them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
take a hint. Take a hint. You know what I mean? So that is happening. Meanwhile, there's this other person who I thought it was really nice. They commented something on one of our clips, one of our videos. Like that the only way that you ever interact with the show, the little clips that we put on social media.
Yeah, I love those.
We shared one, and he commented and was super nice. And it was kind of this younger guy trying to do evangelization. So I'm like, look, man, I'm going to be super nice to him. He's essentially me 10 years ago, trying to do some good things on the internet for Catholicism. And then, so I commented back and I sent him a message like, hey man, I appreciate that. That meant a lot. And you know what he did next? He sent me 9 of his own videos in a row and said, hey, like these. Hey, share these. Hey, comment on these. Hey, share. So what did I do? I did what I told you earlier. I ignored him because I'm trying to be nice, because if I say anything, I'm going to be mean. And after the 9th one, I'm telling you, it was the same evening, Shaun.
Oh my gosh.
We became friends. I'm being supportive of him. He sends me 9 videos. Comment, like, share. And I finally sent him a message. I'm like, look, bro, I followed you on Instagram. I'm a 100th of your followers, you're welcome. Right. I'm following you. I followed you on YouTube. I'm trying to support you. I commented on one of your videos. The reason that we became friends is you commented on mine. I immediately went and commented on yours. I'm doing the things to try to be a good supporter of you. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to stop sending me these videos. You know what he responds with?
He's another video.
Another video.
Yeah. Well, he's just spamming them. He's just spamming them. Yeah. Well, now you know that I'm not your most annoying friend.
well, he's not my friend at all. You might be my most annoying friend, and that's the difference. That's the difference, because both of those things happened, and I just have to share with the people what happened that week. That week, you did the same two things.
Uh-oh.
You asked to be on this show multiple times, and you also sent me one of your own videos, asked me to comment and share it with everyone.
Oh, those clips. Yeah, they're hilarious. You got to show them on the show sometime. Those are hilarious. And let's clarify. I didn't ask to be on the show. I asked to be on most of the shows to come back as co-host.
Yeah, you asked for more.
Let's take a poll. Let's send a poll out to all your fans. Let's let them decide.
So I think that there is a poll that you don't know about. Yes, I am messing with you, but I told you yes, despite doing what the same two people did that annoyed the crap out of me.
Thank you.
So
I love you. I love you too.
I know. I'm gonna do the Star Wars thing. We started Star Wars. We're keeping it Star Wars. But what was I gonna say? Oh, we do have a poll, Shaun. It's called download numbers. And you have so now we're getting introduced to who you are. Reintroduction, right? So you have a fancy job. You're ex-military. We know that you can shoot things. We know that you can hit soccer balls in with cars. We know you're good at that kind of stuff. But you're also an author of way too many Catholic books. You started this website called
Epic Pew.
You might have heard of it, right? It's the Catholic version of the Disney Channel. I'm just kidding. What do you call it? The Catholic version of what?
Well, it was BuzzFeed, but I don't think they're in as much demand these days.
A little less buzz around that feed.
Yeah, exactly. Not so BuzzFeed.
I think part of it, and like you're not the only one in this category, but you're like, I want to come be co-host, but yet you never listen to the show. You never shared anything.
I should have never quit. I should have never left. I should have said sabbatical.
Wait. I want you to explain that joke because it might mean you understand the show better than I think. What do you mean by you're going to take a sabbatical?
Buddy, you got me, man. Don't embarrass me. I don't know.
Well, I am, because I thought for a moment there was a lifting in my heart that meant maybe you listened to the show once before.
Because you got like 700 episodes now, man. How many do you do a week?
One a week. So there are 4 co-hosts. You want to know what's funny?
Uh-oh.
One has quit. It was actually the person that replaced you. So that position is cursed.
Oh.
Everybody else has stuck around.
High turnover.
But the other 2 people that have taken a break, that have not quit, that are now back, you know what they told me they needed?
Sabbatical.
You 100%.
They didn't want to hurt your feelings. At least I was honest with you.
You know what? They learned from you. You left. They saw how much it hurt me.
They saw the abuse.
So they said,
abuse.
We're not quitting. We want a sabbatical. They let me down easy.
What? So John is on sabbatical?
No, John quit. So John replaced you, who quit.
Oh, I thought he was. I thought we were the trio, the original trio.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Oh.
So but the irony is there was a lot more men at the beginning. You were towards the beginning, John.
Now you've got diversity.
Father Anthony. Now it's all women. Well, not diversity, which is so funny. Dude, this we weren't planning on talking about this, but this is so funny, right? So this show's been going on for 8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am a large white man.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm a large white man. You're a large white man. Father Anthony is a large white man. John is a large white man. So I saw that and I was like, look, man, we got to change something up. So now if you look at our logo, it is one large white man, me, in the middle. This is my show. I've been doing it for 8 years. Everybody else is, clinging on, right? Or they're the 4 people that lifted their hurt person down to Jesus to heal them. I think I might be that person actually on the show. But now it's me, Father Anthony, who has long hair that looks like a woman, and then 3 women. So like I did all of this work to do diversity because I tell you what, 4 or 5 years ago, the big thing was like, we need more female voices in Catholicism. I was like, look, man, I'd be happy to help. Honestly, I love these ladies. I'd be happy to be a part of that. And you know what? I did that. And you know what now everybody's complaining about?
Too many
Those
women?
Those three women are all white. It's not diverse enough. I did your diversity training.
You gotta have in diversity, equity, inclusion principles. You gotta have race, ethnicity, and sex.
I know, man. So I apologize that I did the wrong kind of diversity.
Oh, and age. Did I say age?
Well,
race, age, ethnicity, and sex.
Age we have. Me and Anthony are young, and the ladies are old. So
are they that old? I've seen the show. They're not that old.
Well, that's the thing is they look great, but I'm by far the youngest person on this show.
How old are you?
Looks like I'm the oldest. I'm 33.
Oh my! I thought you were my age. I just turned 37.
Yeah, no, you're old. And to be fair, you look 37.
You know, whenever I was 26,
47.
I had an office mate. I had an office mate. I can't remember her name. We were guessing each other's age, just office small talk. And I told her I was 26. She said, "I bet you're 35." Told her I was 26. She's like, "Oh my God, you spend too much time in the sun." It's like, that is the worst thing anybody has ever said to me at work. You spend too much time in the sun. What are they talking about? They got the hairline.
Aren't you Irish?
Yeah, Scott Irish. Yeah, German.
So, the amount of time that's too much in the sun was the 3-minute walk from the parking lot into the building.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I was like, are there too many lines? I was 26. I looked okay back then.
Yeah, no, I understand. So, we transitioned into we got through the griping. We did. We got through the griping. It's only been 15 minutes now. So now we can start. So you mentioned work, and the work that I knew you for, like the reason we became friends. Ironically enough, one of the projects that I've been doing is going back and remastering and re-releasing old episodes of the show, especially on YouTube, because YouTube just got podcasting and we didn't have all of our audio only, episodes from the first 130 or whatever.
Right.
Because then we moved to video.
I miss those days.
Yeah. So does everyone else. Everybody's tired of looking at me. But the episode that I releases today as we are sitting here recording, is your first appearance on the show. I thought that was kind of funny. We're recording on the day.
A lot of anniversaries.
And we had just become friends on Xbox, and that's really where our friendship grew, was playing, Fortnite and Rocket League and all this kind of stuff together.
I think Catholic Answers introduced us.
They did. Yeah, because you had a book, and that was it was the book.
It's your
called
favorite
Reform
book.
Yourself.
It's your favorite
Reform
title.
Yourself. Yeah, it's so great. It was about the Reformation, and you're just yelling at people. It was an exclamation point, all capital letters. Reform yourself, and it's like. For 6 years now, I commented on every one of your Facebook pages.
Anytime I get a new
every
book.
one of your posts, yeah. That was what book for you? Reform Yourself. When you first started on the show, you had how many books as a Catholic author?
That must have been the third or fourth. Yeah,
and that's a good number. We're going to talk about your newest book here in the next segment. But this newest book is what number of books that you have written?
10.
It's too many. It's just too many. You're a snake oil salesman at this point. I thought you were a nice guy trying to help Catholicism, and now you're a snake oil salesman. We're talking about.
I wish I could get some of those sales.
Yeah. But you started this big Catholic website, Epic Pew. You're a Catholic. Like that's the work that I knew you for, and the longer that I've gotten to know you. That's not your primary work. You have a big boy job. You do important things, and I didn't really know that about you. And so what I want to talk about with you specifically is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and a topic that other people have asked me to talk about, yet I couldn't really talk about. And that's being Catholic in the workplace.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about lack of diversity. I work in Catholic media. Father Anthony works in Catholic priesting. Catherine kind of has some secular work, but it's faith infused, right? But she's mostly a Catholic speaker and author. Allison, Catholic speaker and author. Liv, we don't know what Liv does. But you're the only one around here that has a real big boy job. So I want to talk about being Catholic.
And I still find time to author.
Yeah, somehow. Do your kids know your name? Do you know their names?
They know that I write books, and it doesn't impress them at all.
They know that I write. That's one of the greatest responses ever. Do you know your kids' names? Do they know you? They know I write books. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. So what can you tell us about your big boy job? What do you do Monday through Friday?
I work for the U.S. Army. Of course, I said I was ex-military. I was in the Air Force for 4 years, and now I work for the U.S. Army, specifically the Corps of Engineers. And I spend all your tax dollars. I'm a contracting officer by trade, so I'm in charge of a group of people that does construction here on the Mississippi River in New Orleans.
What do your Air Force buddies think about you working for the Army?
They're probably jealous because I got out earlier than them. I don't have to wear the uniform. I still get all the benefits.
There's no animosity of switching sides. That'd be like playing for the Cowboys and then going to the Eagles.
Well, I mean, while you're in service, there probably is. Like if I was, it's called blue to green. But when you get out, everybody's pretty happy for you because you're done with the suck.
That's good. I'm actually glad to hear that. So you seemed it's important, and I didn't really understand. I never understood what you were doing in Italy.
Nobody does. I don't think my wife understands what I do. Nobody can really articulate it.
I don't think you can either. Once again, you're a snake oil salesman, just taking our tax dollars. But I think since you moved here, like your job, any secular job, I don't understand. I just don't get it. I've worked in the church for far too long. I just don't understand. But at least this job, I have some kind of grasp of what you're doing. But I actually, I don't know if we could say this. Can we say that I accidentally overheard one of your work conversations the other day?
Oh, don't, but do. Go for it.
Okay.
There was nothing that was said that was inappropriate. I know what you're going to say. I told somebody that I'm polite and nice, and you're like, no, he's not.
I don't know. You work for the government. I don't know what's secret and what's not. But I accidentally overheard one of your conversations. We were playing video games, and then you had to take an important call.
Hey, we were winning. We were winning. But you took this call, and I got an interesting insight into your daily life, and I think I got a better understanding of who you are as a person, and it actually made me proud, which is a weird thing to say after 16 minutes of making fun of you. I feel like we're about to listen to an audio clip.
No, you're not. We're not. No, I have enough people that have worked in the military and the government that I'm like, I kind of have to ask. Like I just did. Can we even talk about this? Right? I don't want to get you fired.
Thanks.
I don't want you to just be a Catholic author because I don't think that's going to pay for those kids you don't know. Exactly. But so how it happened? We were playing the game, and how we play the game is we have a headset on. We're talking to each other, right? But then you forgot to mute your mic that talked to me, and we both took a break. Like I went over to get some lunch, and you were like, hey, I'm gonna make this phone call. We'll both be back in 5-10 minutes, and then we'll keep playing because we're on a winning streak. So sure enough, I come back in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm like, oh no, Shaun doesn't realize that I can hear him. Like, is the government gonna kill him? But I ended up hearing this conversation, and I heard some big boy, big girl stuff. Like, you have an important job. You have an important role. You care about people. And I heard a lot of things. I heard that you care for the people that you work with, that you work around. I heard that you like went to bat for them. I heard that this other lady was willing to go to bat too. So there was a lot of serious good things. And it was cool to see, that's the person that I know who's a good Catholic doing good things and caring for people. Like, it was a really nice thing. And then I also I heard you say stuff like, I'm a nice person. I'm like, buddy, I just heard that. You don't have to say it. But like literally as you were talking about that, I was like, we should talk about being Catholic in the workplace, because I did get like an insight. You don't often get to accidentally see somebody at work, right? So
that's right.
So yeah. So how does you're this big Catholic author, you started at Pew. Like, does anybody at your big boy job know that you do that stuff on the side?
Yeah, most of them do. It eventually gets out. Somebody will see something on LinkedIn or social media, or they'll Google something on me, and somebody will mention it, and word travels. I don't go out and advertise in the workplace that I write books or do things, but of course, faith does come up in the workplace. We can get into that.
Yeah. So it does. I'm surprised. So you work for the government, which a lot of people would think separation of church and state.
Sure.
That might be the main place you can't talk about faith. So how does I want to talk about two things. How does it come up? How does it come up? Do conversations come up? And then two, how does it impact you? Right. So first of all, how does faith come up at your government big boy job?
That is, what a great question. What a great topic. I would say mostly probably small talk. I'll have like religious imagery in my office, or I used to have like a little Bible verse under my signature on my email. Kind of done away with a few of those practices as I've matured. You don't need to be. I didn't need to do any of that, but I've got like, holy cards up in my office, and people come in and they'll be like, "Oh, so what religion are you?" And we'll make small talk. That's probably mostly the extent of it, unless that individual wants to climb a little further on that ladder in a personal relationship. But, being a manager, being a boss, I kind of got to watch what I say and do, and not, try to proselytize in the workplace. And there's no shame about that. You can still, what I try to do is I try to just exhibit the virtue that I learn as a Christian, as a Catholic within the workplace, settling disputes, just relaxing people who are stressed, and being a good influence. I think that those are uncompromisable measures that I take in my daily life, but they're especially important in the workplace. Over.
Yeah, over. Yeah. I'm ex Army, so I'm mad at you that you left the Air Force. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Yeah.
What is that called? Stolen valor? I just did some stolen valor.
Some stolen valor. You're wearing the uniform.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the Salvation Army or something.
Yeah. No, that's actually who I work for. I'm in the army that works towards salvation.
Yeah, there you
go. But the second thing, so you, as you mentioned, you're a manager. So you have a team of how many that you manage?
35.
35. So you are a manager, but you also you're not the general, right? Like you also answer to other people.
Yep.
So you even mentioned like this is how you exhibit. You'll talk about it when it comes up, which seems to make a lot of sense. Like I haven't worked in a non-Catholic job in a very long time, but that's kind of how it would go. Like, like I worked at Chick-fil-A, which is a Christian place, but it's a, secular business or whatever.
Sure.
So like people would ask, random Catholic questions. They'd find out I was Catholic. I'm like, why do you worship Mary? We worship Jesus. I'm like, so we'd have a little conversation about it, but like we're putting chicken sandwiches into bags. Like it's not like a super in-depth conversation, but it would come up, and we were amicable, and that was kind of a good thing, right? Or it's like I didn't make them Catholic, but they like at least knew there was a Catholic, and he wasn't completely insane, only a little, like so that was just kind of a good thing, kind of setting the stage. But the older I get, I think when I was young and kind of young in my faith, I was like, I'm always going to make the perfect business practice decision. I'm always going to make the perfect Christian decision. Sure. I'm always going to do the right thing. And then as I've gotten older, I just realized like there are some days where I get angry. Mm-hmm. There are some days where I have, a boss that maybe they're not a bad person, but over time things snowball, and then I'm frustrated with them a year, 2 years, 3 years in, right?
Yeah.
Or I have people that when I was a manager that like, I told you to do this thing, you didn't do this thing. Now I'm frustrated, but it's like, but I do want to still be a good Christian, right? Yep. So, in that avenue, you kind of brought it up, but how does your Christian faith impact your decision making when you get frustrated, when just like the natural things of life happen at work?
Yeah, I suppose, Taylor, honestly, it depends on the frustration level. There are days where I literally have to walk away, take a breather, go read a prayer card or something, or put a little bit extra effort in, because some days the frustration and the tension is just there, and it's visible, and it's overwhelming, just as it could be in any other life situation. Normally, though, you talked about a typical boss issue. Hey, I asked you to do something, you didn't do it on time, you didn't do it good enough. Honestly, I try to invoke humility in myself and be like, well, okay, I know that I've done those things too. And I've got managers under me who manage those people too. And I'll see them get super worked up and frustrated, and they'll, try to take some sort of disciplinary action. I'm like, hey, weren't you an intern at one point in time? Weren't you in training? Didn't you make a few mistakes? Did you ever get wall-to-wall counseling? Did you get yelled at or something? Somebody put their finger on your chest and, told you to do a better job? Was that really the kind of intimidation that you wanted to receive at that point in time, or would encouragement have done better? So whenever I am in my leadership and managerial role, I'm doing more of that mentoring, doing more of that coaching for those people to help them get there. And I'm trying to, of course, invoke those Judeo-Christian principles into what I do. I even mention it if I have to sometimes, like, hey, look at the saints. They failed, they stumbled. I'll bring up things like that. But honestly, in the day-to-day role, I just try to be a good Catholic. I try to coach myself with humility and understanding, and just treat people with a whole lot of respect and patience. Doesn't always come out, but that's why I was going to say you can't come home and kick the dog. I don't have any dogs. I got 6 kids.
Yeah, and their names
Ask them if I come home and kick them.
Fluffy and Sparky.
Yeah. No, I just try to handle it my best, Taylor, and try to be forgiving and try to be understanding.
My 2 favorite things that you said is because as I mentioned, it's like as I've gotten older, like a lot of these things that get more difficult, right? Where it's like my 2 favorite things that you said was, 1, sometimes I can't handle the situation well and I walk away, right? Because like the bad option would be I can't handle the situation right now, so who's closest and they're getting yelled at or they're getting reamed out or whatever, right? But the fact that you walk away, kind of cool off. I mean, Jesus walked away for 3 days and cooled off and then he came back, like that's a really good image to follow. But then also the reminder of like reminding yourself or your other managers of like, you were there one day, right? I see that a lot, like with work, but I also see it with like coaching. It's like there were days that I didn't know how to do this. There were days that I messed this up, and like certain things, like I might be pretty good at now, and I'm not making those mistakes anymore. But I did when I first started, right? So like remembering that and just kind of that humility of like I've been there before, and being able to like put myself, like I was in that space. How did I handle it?
Right.
What would I not want somebody doing to me, yelling at me or whatever? It's, that sort of thing.
I think of the woman. I think of the adulterous woman. Like, he who is without sin casts the first stone. Well, whenever somebody does me wrong at work, like how am I supposed to react? I mean, it's easy. It's so easy to hit that button and just react, with intolerance or just, but gratitude really overrules those overwhelming feelings in those situations. And I think of the response, well, where are your accusers now? Well, I don't accuse you either. Occasionally you got to follow through on things, the bad employees, but
for sure. All that, discipline is a good thing, right? Like having your own discipline. And if you're don't have your own discipline, being disciplined, it can be a good thing, right? But again, it's how it's done.
Yes.
Are you consistent? Did you try to do something beforehand? Like, there are kids, like the kids that I coach track, I've probably yelled at all of them at some point, right? But I've built up enough equity with them and they understand. It's like I've built relationships with them for years and years and years. But when I'm yelling at you, there's only a few things that I really yell at about: lack of effort, and they know that that's important.
That's right.
Or not being as good as I know they can be. Right. Like, I'm not going to yell at a kid for not running, a state record when they're the second slowest kid on the team. Right.
That's good.
But if that second slowest kid on the team runs 5 seconds slower than they did the week before, I'm yelling at them. Yeah. Because I don't expect you to be a superstar, but I expect you to be better and improving and that sort of thing, right? But it's never a yelling just off the hip. Like, they're never like, where did this come from? They're like, oh yeah.
They definitely know why. And like you said, you've built up the credibility. Not that gives you the right to yell or privilege to yell at anybody, but you've got the relationship, and with that, credibility can follow through in the course of being a true disciplinarian, which is a leadership role sometimes.
And for the most part, they still like me. I went to a volleyball game yesterday and I saw them all, and they're like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I yelled at you."
They're not like, "Hey, how are you?"
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's one that's like that, but I think that says more about them than me. But it is very funny. What's funny is the one person that I think like genuinely doesn't like me on the team. Everybody kind of knows it, and so they mess with him. They're like, "Oh, here he comes!" And it's very funny. But
hide.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Any final thoughts on being Catholic in the workplace?
No.
Good. I'm so proud of you. What a good co-host.
Walk the walk and talk the talk. You don't need to be a proselytizer. You don't need to convert everybody around you. They're going to remember what you do more than what you say. So walk the walk.
And if you work in a secular job, the only way to be a real Catholic is to write 10 Catholic books.
There you go. Gives you credibility.
All right. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to be talking about old Shaun Keith's newest book. Don't go anywhere.
Good morning, good evening, and good night. I am not Taylor, but I kind of look like him if you're watching on YouTube, and I guess I sound like him because I can be loud! And I'm just here to tell you to donate. Join the club that I'm in. ForteCatholic.com/donate. That's where you go. It's a good thing to do. He needs the support. He likes it. It lets him do more of this crazy stuff that you're listening to. That conversation you just heard, whoa, that was a doozy, right? You want to hear more of that. So go do it. It's the right thing to do. Donate. Just do it. Do it. Do it!
Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll, and that is Keith David. You know who Keith David is?
Gosh, why do you do this to me? No.
I like making my
Is he a country singer?
No, he's
Sounds like
he's
a
an
country singer.
He's an actor and a voiceover guy, and he just took over a big voice acting role in Destiny 2 because the other guy died. It's just very funny. So I called you Keith, I think because of the video game connection. I just realized that, 35 minutes after.
I've got all kinds of questions. I thought Destiny 2 was like kind of done being made. Like how are there more voiceovers?
Oh, ask Father Anthony. It's all he does now. He says a couple of masses and plays Destiny.
Well, I did see him on Rocket League. We were talking about Rocket League last time. Now we're talking about it this time. I did see him on Rocket League, and I invite him. I'm like spamming the invites after a while. I'm like, why isn't he answering? Then I text him, and he's like, "Gotta go."
Yeah,
he's like, "I've got the bug again."
He's playing. Yeah, he has been addicted to Destiny 2
for a while, for years.
Just like you're addicted to writing Catholic books that no one reads. So we're going to try to get you a few more readers here today.
Thank you.
Mr. Self-published, Shaun McAfee.
We're going to invite the kids in the room and force them to listen.
No, the dogs. So you've written books. And I think, I was messing with you that that you don't listen to the podcast. I've never read one of your books either. So we've got that.
Not even a page.
I think the first one, Reform Yourself. I read the introduction to see if I wanted you to come on the show. And the introduction.
I read the back of it.
Was good enough. Yeah.
I read the synopsis.
I mean, if it makes you feel, it might not, but if it makes you feel any better, I didn't read like assigned reading in high school either. So like, I don't
think I did either. I hated reading my whole life.
Yeah. Now this is the real test of my friendship. Has any one of your books been made into an audiobook?
Yeah.
How many of those? One? Which one was that?
Epic Saints. The perfect one for it.
So there's one of your books that I feel bad for not reading because that's all I do is audiobooks.
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh, you'll love that one.
I don't know if you know this about it. And the irony is we just talked about it a couple episodes ago. Like the biggest lack of knowledge in my Catholic knowledge is saints.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to read it because I need to know about the saints and it's an audiobook. I don't read books. It's not, 1804. Like I have moved on, I've graduated from that, but I don't know if you know this about me. I'm like a 95% audio learner. So like, I don't learn things by reading them. I'm like one of the dumbest people in the world when it comes to like retention of reading things on a page.
How about for podcasting and all this stuff, producing?
No, I hear it and I remember it. Like I have a pretty I'm over strong in my audio.
That's why you get mad at me whenever I don't remember something, a hidden joke, or I don't know what, a reference from a few years ago, and you bring it up. You're like my wife.
Thank you.
Bring up something that happened many
her.
moons ago. Today's our 15th anniversary, by the way.
Oh, congratulations on 15 years.
15
years. We're only, let's see, we're at 11 now. So next time. So I guess we still say 11 and a half.
Yeah.
So we're only like 3.5 years behind you.
Keep going.
Okay, we're trying.
Don't quit now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, we're stuck together. That's how marriage works. So, so you wrote about the saints. I know you wrote about the Reformation. Let's just go through topics that you've covered here quickly in your other 9 books.
Yeah, pro-life.
Okay.
Pro-life, specifically the 50th anniversary of Humana Vitae. Did a book with Catholic Answers on that. Did a book on conversion with Catholic Answers. Did a book on relics and sacramentals with Catholic Answers. Did Epic Saints. I did a converts playbook kind of thing that was my first book with Sophia. And then what else? I had a little piece in one of Patrick Madrid's books, apologetics, pro-life stuff. And then I know I'm missing one or two. And then, of course, one of my bestsellers, I'm Catholic Now What? Again, New Catholic evangelization stuff. And then I've got one coming out here in November and one coming out in April. And believe me, I haven't even written in a year. I'm burnt out. I need to get on the next one, though.
No, I think you're good. I think 10's a good number to stop at. You know, like all the famous composers, they all died after writing their ninth. You know, do you know that this is a thing?
Yeah, well,
Like,
mine haven't driven anybody death.
Yeah,
Beethoven.
well, yeah. But you know, they all kind of famously die after their ninth. So I mean, you're pushing it at this point. I think you should stop.
Okay.
But to send you out on a good note, I think everybody should go buy this book. And there's a reason I had you list the all the topics. And we'll come back to it.
But let's put up a graphic when this goes. Like, have me spinning
on my phone. So, what is just the title of this book? Don't explain it at all. Just give me the title of this book.
Compendium of Sacramentals, an encyclopedia of. I don't even remember what the subtitle is. They only made it 2 weeks ago. Compendium of Sacramentals.
Compendium of Sacramentals. The subtitle is written and compiled by Shaun McAfee. That's what it says on the cover.
That's what it does say on the cover.
Yeah. So here's a theme that I see in your books, and I want to see how much I understand the Catholic space, and because you have all of this knowledge and I don't have any of it, but I have a theory that I want to push by you.
Okay.
I have a theory that your best-selling books are probably, I would imagine, the Saints one, the Reform Yourself, and I'm Catholic Now What? Am I close?
I don't know. There's probably a tie. There, I wouldn't put down Filling Our Father's House. That came out in 2015, and that still gets a few sales. Reform Yourself, that came out like right after the anniversary of the Reformation. It was actually a little late printed. It's just a publication issue that didn't get the kind of boom that it should have, but that's probably close enough. Yeah.
So I was close. You know, I'll only pat myself on the back once.
I should have just said yes.
I usually do. No. This is good for me because, you know, like I work in the Catholic space and I try to do I try to have topics and co-hosts that I think people will listen to, and then I also do episodes like this one, you know. So I love when you like, I'm not sure if you realize I'm making fun of you and you're just like, yeah, or you're just moving on.
I got it.
It feels mean when you
You're
don't react. You make me feel bad. It's a great tactic by you, but I feel like you have maybe half and half, right? Because we went through all your things. Pro-life stuff, I think, sells, but not. Like, I think it would be consistent, but not the bottom, right? And then you have these books that are like big topics. Like, you know, you're a convert, so it makes sense that like a lot of your books about being a convert and conversion, being new to Catholicism.
I'm an eyewitness expert.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, that makes total sense to me. Like, when you wrote those books, when you wrote Reform Yourself, when you wrote like the Saints one even makes sense to me as a convert, because you're like, you know, whether it was for you or not, like the Saints are often a thing that is like a barrier to becoming Catholic. Like, all that kind of makes sense to me. Here's what doesn't make sense to me, Shaun. You're a convert, and you're about to release a book, and you've done this before. There's been a few books like this that are so nerdy Catholic, like inside baseball, like only Catholics care about. You have a compendium of sacramentals.
Yeah.
What are you going to sell? 4? Like, it's so specific and like nerdy, where like you have an importance of Catholic knowledge. It's like, I have to learn and perfect 800 other concepts, and then maybe I'll learn what a sacramental is, you know? So why'd you write this book, Shaun?
You know what? So I did this small book for Catholic Answers, about 20,000 words, that were in their 20 answer series on sacramentals and relics, and I was like,
oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that it was part of that series. I know what series you're talking about, where it was like, it was kind of tackling these like more random kind of
and it really boils like a large subject into 20 questions, 20 answers, 20 questions, and you get a word limit and all this other stuff because they got to make them all like the same template. But while I was doing the research for that book, I was like, this is a huge topic. And I was, of course, immersed in what I was learning and happy about it. And I was like, I gotta finish this study privately. Like what you probably don't know, I thought this is maybe going to be what you were going to guess at. But I don't know everything before I write a book. I didn't know everything about Epic Saints. I definitely have my own experience as a convert, but I still reach out to people. I still talk to priests and, hey, what's going on in RCIA these days? But while I was writing this one, I learned so much, and I said, I gotta share this. This is just so interesting. Popes used to melt down the wax of the Easter candles and cut it into these small little shards and bless it in double boiled holy water, and then they'd give it to the masses. Like, we don't really do it a whole lot anymore. And I went and actually contacted some people at the Vatican and like got some photos and some history and some blessings to include in the book. And this, yeah. So I went and did the deep dive on this because a lot of it was for the customer. A lot of it was for me. I wanted to know more. And I was like, I got enough here to go and present a pretty cool book. I went to TAN, and they've got like this little leather series. Maybe you've seen it. Like, they've got the it's called the manual series. It's like
Wait, TAN has TAN been out in the sun a little bit too long?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the dad joke. So they've got the manual series. It's like manual of spiritual warfare, manual for marriage, manual for couples, things like that. And I presented it as manual for sacramentals. Like, how do we use them? How do we dispose of them? What are the prayers? And they pitched me.
And he's gone.
You don't want to miss this. They pitched me. I was like, okay, I got a pretty simple idea. They pitched me their compendium series, which I had only just discovered. It's like full art, hardcover, beautiful publication. They pitched it to me, and I was like, you're going to let me be a part of that series? Like, it's just elite. And of course, I
know why?
You know
why they did that, right?
Why?
Because they were like, yeah, we can't sell any of these unless it's part of a series.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's got to be something that somebody has to collect.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta finish the Infinity Gauntlet of compendiums.
Exactly. Yeah, like the amiibo or something that nobody really wants, but you got to have it for your collection for Smash or something. No, so they pitched me that, and it all just kind of came together. It was an easier approach. I had a lot of the imagery that I had in mind, and yeah, you said it. It's a deeper dive into a pretty nerdy Catholic topic, but like with all of my writing, I tried to keep this one super right on the top where anybody can get into it, immediately pick up some concepts. They can browse through it and look at the things that they want, where they want to study the Rosary or the Sacred Heart, or I was mentioning the Agnus Dei, those little shards of wax that popes used to bless, or still do, maybe allegedly. We'll figure that one out whenever you read the book. It was just so fun, Taylor. I want to do another one.
Okay, so I think one of the reasons that I'm giving you some pushback is I don't think I actually understand what a sacramental is. And I pulled up your post about it. You posted about it just a couple of days ago, and there's a lot of things in the post that I'm like, oh, I think there's more to this topic than I think there is. So here I am as a cradle Catholic, and I'm like, sacramentals like mean almost nothing to me. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, sacraments, big deal. Sacramentals, like, I wasn't joking when I said it might be the 800th most important topic. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that's like super special. So if you ask me like, I have some understanding of what a sacramental is.
Okay.
But if you ask me to like describe or define what a sacramental is, I couldn't even guess. I couldn't even stumble through an answer because I feel like it would be so stupid. So sure. You're going to convince me, you're going to convince me as a cradle Catholic why I should learn more about sacramentals by first saying, what is it?
Are you wearing like a religious medal or a crucifix or a cross?
I sure am. So I am.
Show me.
I'm wearing this necklace that I got, and I it's funny that you asked this because I think this is probably my only or one of my only like experiences of sacramentals. I have this silver stainless steel or whatever necklace on that I got for my confirmation. I've been wearing this since 2005, 2006.
And it's been blessed?
It has been blessed.
Okay.
It is also a third-class relic because it has touched a first-class relic.
Other than an exorcism, you just hit the three primary classes, or not even really classes because there's no hierarchy, the three primary types of sacramentals.
Well, ironically enough, that's probably the one that I need.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really cool. You probably also own a rosary.
I somewhere, yeah.
You probably also have like a Saint Benedict medal somewhere, maybe a miraculous medal.
The miraculous medal is on my necklace. I
And
don't think we have a.
You have
better
holy water
one.
in your house?
We do not. We did for a while.
Okay,
We
but
had
holy
like a
water is
little font.
important to you?
Sure. Yeah. I touch it
Okay.
every time I go to mass.
You've
except
maybe
for
blessed
Lent.
your kids. You've blessed your food. You asked for a blessing from Father Sharapa.
I have. He hasn't
Yeah.
given me one,
So
but I've
these
asked.
these are sacramentals.
All of them?
All of them. These are sacramentals. So sacrament, it is very difficult to define. And in all of my writings that I've done so far, I have gone through great lengths to try to put it in my own words, but it's better just to quote the church. But I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to see if I can do it from memory. So a sacramental effectively is a sign.
Oh, I thought you were refusing to answer the question. I'm like, we just had 5 minutes of conversation after the question. You kind of have to answer.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
I took an approach that would show you before I answer the question, really nerdily, that you already care about it, right? And a lot of people don't know that this is central to the Catholic life. Every well-meaning Catholic has something to do with sacramentals. And it gives me chills. It's so cool. But here's the nerdy definition, is that a sacramental is a blessing, an exorcism, or an object of devotion, which can be a prayer, like the rosary, or a physical object like your crucifix, that disposes us to go and receive the sacraments. So they point to the sacraments. They are not effective with grace, but they dispose us to go and receive that grace. They change the way that we look at our faith, the way that we internalize our life, and they should propel us to go to mass, go to confession, to continue saying Christian prayers and this sort of thing. There are many classes. The church has done a great job of dissecting what sacramentals are in the course of 2,000 years. They're nothing new. We've been doing crosses. We've been doing prayers. We've had exorcisms since the Great Commission, but the church has done a really wonderful job of really putting a definition on it. But in the daily life, it's your prayers, it's your blessings, and it's the objects and prayers of devotion that that Catholics do. And what's cool about this? It's ecumenical. Sacramentals aren't just a Catholic thing. Protestants wear crosses. Protestants do blessings. Protestants have prayers. They have their own kind of devotions. Might not be like a church-approved devotion like the Rosary or the devotion of the Sacred Heart or something like that. Those are Catholic Church-approved devotions. But they have their own way of administering and observing sacramentals too.
Have you ever told a Protestant that? I don't think
they'd probably be afraid to be like, oh my gosh, I've been Catholic this whole time. I better stop that stuff.
Yeah.
You take a risk whenever you say things like that. So it's better to do what I point out to you. Like, hey, are you wearing one? Where'd that come from? Who approved that? That kind of thing.
So I know that like everything on here, it's either Saint Medal or Miraculous Medal. It's been blessed multiple times. It's, touched around like this is really special,
so
right?
You got 3 sacramentals and 1 around that, right?
But I have a question. Because I want to know how far this sacramental thing goes.
Yeah.
And as you were talking and doing the definition, I don't know why. It's just how my brain works. But because you talked about it was something that you wear, right? That like reminds you of Jesus or devotion, that sort of thing, right? I was kind of listening. So when I was in junior high, faith wasn't like super important to me, but I liked like youth group. So I remember going to like this youth conference where, some white guy rapped, like that was cool in like the early 2000s, in youth ministry. But I remember getting this t-shirt.
DC
and it was
Talk.
a hip. No, but way worse, way less talented. It was a local Catholic church. What do you think?
At least you acknowledge the talent of DC Talk. They're cool.
Oh, they're great. They really are good. I had this t-shirt of like a hippie looking Jesus wearing sandals and long, the long hair, like legitimately just looks like a hippie, but you can tell it's Jesus, because he was white. He's holding up the peace sign or whatever. And the shirt says, "I like that Jesus dude." And I wore that incessantly throughout junior high and high school. Does that fit the definition of a sacramental?
No, it doesn't. A sacramental specifically is an object of devotion, a prayer, a blessing that is approved by the church.
Are you not devoted to Jesus?
I am. But it's like an official thing. Like you couldn't it wouldn't be right to pray like a fifth set of mysteries for the rosary. Like some people get into this. Let me just kind of bunny trail here for a second, is some people will say, well, the original mysteries of the Rosary were only 15. They were given to St. Dominic, and they've been practiced in the church until 1995 or something like that. And then St. John Paul II, he approved the luminous mysteries, another set of 5 mysteries to be prayed alongside the Rosary. When some people are like, well, that's not the original. Well, the only reason we have those original 15 mysteries is because the church approved them. The church is in charge of what the faithful can and can't pray. We got to have some sort of standard of approval for that. So that's why. So that kind of overwhelms that argument a bit, but also you can't just go and add another set of mysteries. Maybe you could have like a private devotion or something. Eventually it kind of gets there. Like there's a history of the luminous mysteries too, where it kind of became that. But if you understand what I'm saying is you can't just say, hey, look, this t-shirt was blessed. That makes it a sacramental, or even the Pope blessed my t-shirt. That doesn't make that a sacramental. That act of blessing was a sacramental, like for your necklace, for the cross you're wearing, that blessing was a sacramental, and that object is a sacramental. And then it becoming relics are closely related to sacramentals. They're not exactly sacramentals. They're just relics, but they're very closely related because, well, first of all, most of them become second, third class sacramentals, relics. But they still orient us to go and live a holy life, to sanctify ourselves, and to receive the sacraments. Over.
So you're so silly. So it's almost the same word, sacraments and sacramentals. I've never fully understood the connection. Obviously there is a connection because it's, the same letters.
Yes.
So what's the connection between the sacraments and the sacramentals? Because like I mentioned earlier, like you're starting to convince me that these are important to me, and they have been for a while. I just didn't understand the terminology, right?
Yeah.
But the sacraments, like for me as a cradle Catholic, and I would imagine for you as a convert, like the sacraments, we all agree are like very important. It's kind of the big deal, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna take a stab at it, right? So the sacraments are things that we have to like go to church to do. We have to go often at certain times, like mass times or confession times or whatever, right? Or ask specifically for a priest for a specific time, like, hey, come give me or I'm gonna come get the anointing of the sick or whatever. Like it's kind of scheduled and over there. It's usually at the church. Obviously, there's some exceptions. Sacramentals is the idea that church is over there, but I take church with me, and I can be reminded of the sacraments and be reminded of the church when I wear this necklace. Am I anywhere even close?
You're hitting the gist of it. Yeah, that's acceptable. You want me to give you a nerdy answer?
Sure. I love how you said that my answer is acceptable, which is what most of my teachers did when I didn't read the books.
You got an A. Oh, I got an A. I got the highest grade. No, it means acceptable.
Yeah.
You didn't get an E for excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the real nerdy answer, but this is important to know. Okay, so the sacraments do more than just dispose us to faith. The sacraments effect grace. They are super effective ways to obtain sanctifying grace, right? Baptism, confirmation, the Eucharist. Okay, sacraments operate in this way, and this is a Latin term: ex opere operato. It means that it yep. Ex operato, it means that it does it by its own work. So with and in and of itself, it gives us these graces. It doesn't need the disposition of the believer. It doesn't need the goodness of the priest. That's Donatism. It does it by itself. Okay, ex opere operato. Sacramentals, they don't affect grace. They point us to those things that affect grace. And in that way, why are they called sacramentals? Is they represent them. They signify us to go there and receive the sacraments. So it is kind of this limited world. Like you said, they are the things that remind us of our Christian work and our Christian life. You look down, it's easy to remember that you're wearing that cross and say, you know what, this was blessed. I am specially called by God. I am set aside as a child of Jesus to execute this mission here on earth. And that should push us to go and live a sanctificated. Yep, I'm a philosopher. I can make up my own words. A sanctified life, to sanctify ourselves, to reform ourselves, and to go and receive the sacraments.
I'm going to ask you one of the craziest questions.
Sanctificated.
I'm going to ask you one of the craziest questions I think I've ever. This is something that I have kept to myself for, I don't know, 25 years.
Okay.
20 years, something like that. And my question is, I'm going to ask the question, then I'm going to give some context. You should be, because I don't know if I should be revealing this. We revealed something about your life we didn't know if it was okay to reveal. Now we're doing it for mine, just to be tit for tit. So I'm wearing this sacramental. I'm wearing this relic. And I've been wearing it since I was in high school. How many times do you think I've sinned since I was in high school, Shaun?
Every day. I mean,
Yeah, quite a bit, right?
Yeah, we
and
missed the mark.
There have been times where I know that this is reminding me of my faith.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly wearing it, which means that I've worn it through many sins. But the craziest thing about me, and I don't know if anybody else in the world has ever done this, but I have. There have been multiple times where, you know how temptation works, right? Like you're tempted, and there's that moment where you're tempted, where you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Like you know you're going to fall. You see a pattern or whatever.
Yep.
There have been multiple times where I've made that decision, and you want to know the first thing that I do? I take my necklace off. Because I'm like, this is my reminder of my faith. I'm going to go sin now.
I'm not going to sin with it on and defile this thing.
Exactly. So I have sinned hundreds of thousands of times while wearing it. But there have been a few other 100 times where I took it off because I knew I was going to be acting in a manner that was not becoming of the Lord, you know?
Yeah.
So my question is, can I sacramentalize? I'm making up words too. Can I unsacramentalize something that's a sacramental? Can I even something that's a relic? Can I unmake it a relic by committing a sin while wearing the thing?
Yeah, and the other side to that, I'll answer your question, but the other side of that is like, what if something happens on accident? Like I wear a scapular or something and it tears, or like, what do I do if my kid goes and breaks my rosary? Do I just throw it in the trash? Do I flush this holy water down the sink? What do I do with it? So yes, sacramentals can be abused. They can be defiled. It's kind of, I'm going to give you a both and answer. It doesn't stop it from being a sacramental, but it really should be re-blessed. Not because of your sin. That doesn't do it. But if you were to take it and you were to like use it in a way that is extremely unbecoming of real defilement of it, then yes, you really should have it blessed, probably exercised too.
Did you just tell me to exercise?
Yeah. I mean, you could have it exercised. Like the Benedictines, they exercise the metal whenever they do the traditional blessing on it. It's really cool. I promise.
Yeah, to make sure that the metal doesn't have demons in it. That sounds sane.
Yep, because demons possess things. Yep, they do. So yeah, I think that answered all of your question. But the important thing to know, and this is something that the book does in every little section, is how do I take care of this thing? What happens when it goes wrong? There is a way to dispose of sacramentals. It's through it. They call it through the virtue of what it is. So you don't just pour holy water down the drain. It's proper to bury it, to put it in the earth. And the same thing with your physical sacramentals. Let's say you broke that chain, or somehow you broke your rosary or snapped a crucifix in half and it's unmendable. You can repair it, have it blessed if you want. But it's proper to burn or to bury. So that's a complete answer to your question.
So almost. So because I wear this all day, so I have sinned this multiple times. I have had it re-blessed multiple times for some of these reasons. Right? I'm not defiling it. I'm just sinning while
it would be an intentional defilement.
Right. Yeah. So I've never done that, but I have, intentionally sinned, right, while wearing it. So I maybe get it re-blessed. Like, essentially, I'm not going to go up and ask, the priest, hey, Father, every time I sin.
With absolution. With absolution. Now can you bless my...
Yeah. But if somebody's blessing something else, like we were the... like the lasso tradition at weddings.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Typically Hispanic tradition, right? So my wife, we were like the sponsor couple for this.
Like a matrimonial rosary too?
Yeah. So my wife made like a matrimonial rosary. And so like when we got that blessed, I just kind of like hold my necklace out too and get it re-blessed, like while he's blessing other things.
Okay.
It's like, hey, can you bless this and this, or whatever. But I'm not going to do it every time that I sin, right? Because otherwise I'd be there literally all the time.
That would be probably superstitious.
Right. Yeah. So I do think there is some balance. So essentially, that's
maybe less superstitious. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe less superstitious. I want to take that back. Probably more like you're over scrupulous.
Yeah, scrupulous for sure. Which is not who I am. People.
I know you.
I'm not super scrupulous. But my final question, well, I guess my final question would be, where can people buy the book and go support
We'll get there. We'll get there.
A Catholic guy. My final question is, when on your post about it, you talked about the scriptural basis for this, which actually was like, oh, now we're getting to the real Shaun. Now we're getting to, like Shaun, the Protestant who converted to Catholicism. I was surprised to see that there was like scriptural basis for sacramentals. So what you got there? Give us a little taste.
Well, I'll give you just a couple examples. I mean, of course, Jesus blessed. Of course, Jesus did exorcism. So there's two of them, but he did give us the Our Father, right? He did ask us to be devoted to his mother. So there are two devotions right there. But I also like to think of the things that people don't normally see, like the moment he used that dirt to help the blind man, that also became a sacramental. That became an instrument through which that healing was made. So yeah, there's a deep scriptural basis for it, and just even the physical or the not physical, there with sacramentals, they're through the whole Bible, Genesis all the way to Revelation.
Okay, I said that was my last question, but now I have one more as a follow-up to this one. Because you mentioned it earlier, but I don't think it really clicked. You said that prayers can be sacramentals, like the Our Father?
Devotional prayers, yes.
Devotional prayer. So what you just told me is something that blows my mind. Sacramentals can be invisible.
Of course.
That's insane.
Yep.
Yep. There could just be sacramentals floating through the air because that's the Our Father I said yesterday. It's
not like an orb. It's not like an orb that's going to hit you or something. It's the intent of the priest or the person as the church intercessing on our behalf or directly for those prayers and those devotions in order to make them effective.
Honestly, it's the best thing you said. I'm now a huge sacramentals fan because I didn't know they could be invisible. And now that I know that there are just invisible sacramentals floating around, I'm so happy. I'm so happy
That's
to
what
know
Shaun
this
said.
as a Catholic. Yeah, exactly. That is what Shaun said. In his book, which is called what? And you can buy it where?
Compendium of Sacramentals. Go get it on Amazon or at Tan Books.
There you go. Shaun, we did it. We did a show together.
Thanks for letting me on, man. See you next year.
Yeah. Keep asking every day, and we'll see you next September because that's our new tradition.
All right, man. That's good.
All right, this is fun. Go buy the book. You can also connect with Shaun on other places like
social media.
Thanks for the specificity.
I also Twitch stream. You can find me on Twitch, This Catholic. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm heavy on Instagram. If you want some funny vids every night, just get me.
I am heavy on every social media. And the amount of times I've been called fat on the internet this week is unbelievable. But that's a topic for another day.
Awful.
So I'm Taylor Schroll. That's Shaun McAfee. I'll be back next week. He'll be back next September. See ya.
Sad.
Thank you all for watching and listening today. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit subscribe wherever you are watching or listening this episode. We really do appreciate you being here with us, whether this is your first time or your 300-something time. We're really appreciative that you spend your time with us every week. One of the things that we're working on right now is we're in a little bit of a fundraising campaign in order to get some new editing computers, because that's the primary work that we're doing. We work with 25 other Catholic podcasts to produce and edit their podcasts, videos, that sort of thing. And we need some pretty powerful computers in order to do it. Our new hire, Sarah, is doing a great job, but we need to get her an editing computer. And mine is that's the primary goal, is to get her one. And my laptop's going on the what is the word? The spritz, the fits. I don't know the word. On the blink. There you go. That's a word, I guess. But if you would like to donate, you can do that at fortecatholic.com/donate. All one-time donations until we are able to get these computers will go towards those computers. We really do appreciate it. Again, that's fortecatholic.com/donate. We are a Catholic 501c3 nonprofit organization, so all of your donations will be tax deductible. We thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching and listening today. Y'all have a great week. Love you.